Kelan, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And as Brian said, congratulations on winning the Works Customer of the Year. Tell us a little bit about yourself and Airlite Plastics.
Yeah, it was a great honor for us to win the Customer of the Year. It's been a multi-year journey. So myself, I'm Director of Enterprise Applications at Airlite Plastics. We're headquartered in Omaha, Nebraska. We have seven divisions across North America. Delmia Works has been kind of a core project for our digital transformation as we move to make ourselves leaner and better.
Yeah, and if we take a look at my screen here, I'm up on your website. So tell us a little bit about some of your products. One of the things that I think people would instantly recognize are, the brands, the companies that you collaborate um, with what you produce.
Yeah, our core business is thin wall injection molding. So things like butter containers, ice cream pails. We do billions, 2 billion products a year of that type of thing. But we also have other brands that we've brought on through acquisitions and native growth,
Right.
revolving around building sustainable building products. We make insulated concrete forms to build anything from houses, churches, hotels. We have a True Grid permeable paver, which helps with stormwater runoff in high flood prone areas. And then we also are in the cooler industry for shipping cold chain items such as meal kits that you get or medicine that needs to go through the mail for animals and people. So
Yeah, it's super interesting, right? Like one of the things that we had talked about is this idea that, if we hear that your company's Airlight Plastics, we'll go on and say, okay, what's this company all about? We'll Google you guys, we'll see, your website, and we'll take we'll glean some insights from that in terms of understanding all that you get into. But like you mentioned, right? We talked about Kodiak Cotton, right? You look at Measure X, look at Fox Blocks. So you guys have so many different brands that, we talked about how you're into construction, right? You're pretty much all over the place.
yeah.
And this idea that sometimes it can be difficult for people to sort of get a complete idea of all that a company really gets into. Um, how do you, in terms of like unifying under a single thread, right? That unifying your brand and how you identify yourselves with all of the different product categories that you're in. I mean, what do you see as really a single thread of what gives your company that identity?
Yeah, I think across all of our companies, we try and we have a core company value of environmentally sustainable solutions. I think that's kind of near and dear to our hearts.
Mm.
So when you talk about plastics, obviously, there's a lot you can do from design aspects to using less plastic to making it recyclable to build in extra product lifetime so things don't get thrown away as quickly. Sustainability is huge to us, and every acquisition we go to, it needs to fit into that core competency so that we have integrity of what we're doing and have pride in it.
And that's what I noticed, right? If you look at all of your brands here, here of course with Airlight and then going across the gamut, right? You're in different industry segments and different industry categories, but if you look at the common thread there is a lot about sustainability. How did that start? Like what was really the genesis behind making that a common cause?
I think it natively come up through all of our brands as we design products. We obviously want them to be the best products they can be for our customers. Um, so as you get into things and you realize how much of what you're producing and where it's going, you have to keep an eye on that. And it's from our owner down. It's 100% a thing we strive to keep in focus of anything that we do.
And one thing that you and I discuss is this idea that, at a consumer level, with a lot of the products that a consumer would use that you guys create, you think of these scoopers, right? That you guys make with Mesorex. It's not really, you know, as a consumer, sometimes you'll maybe have a protein powder, or it's a spice, and you're not, it doesn't really, or maybe it's salt for your walkway. It's like I'm not really sure like how much of an impact that this has in terms of how I discarded this, or how I use this. Like how much does this go into, like how much does this mentality goes into the way you manufacture, the materials you use, the branding you hope to pass on to your customers? Like how do you guys navigate just trying to control all of that?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, we want to be able to have products that our customers have their products stand out on the shelves or in the use. So when you talk about commodity items, such as most of our plastic things that are single use or used very low quantities, you might not know, the Airlite name behind it, but it's when you are manufacturing so much, billions of units. I mean, reducing the amount of resin that goes into it, making sure that it drives your own customers' growth, to be successful and make them successful. It's something that we keep with everything we do. We try and make things drive customer growth and also remain sustainable through any type of design that we can do to reduce our impact.
So you have a bunch of different brands, right? A bunch of different products, across different locations, right? That's something that you and I talked about quite a bit. We talk a lot about collaboration here at 3D Experience World, and also when we get into spaces like Delmia Works, just the importance of having a single source of truth, right? When you're into all these different areas, tell us a little bit about how you've leveraged Delmia Works for that purpose.
Yeah, our core three divisions that we had, when we started with Delmia Works, our goal was 100% to have Delmia Works run the daily operations of our business, from supply chain, accounting, finance, and sales, and all the manufacturing. So our core mission is to baseline Delmia Works as our processing standard for our business. And across all of our divisions through acquisitions, we put a big emphasis on putting that in to ensure that as the Airlite enterprise grows, we have a common source of truth that we can build upon with data and processes.
So, we talked a little bit about how you've used Delmia Works, again in these particular ways. But what are some ways that you're looking to leverage Delmia Works in the future? We talk about this a lot at 3D Experience World. This idea that as you adopt a technology, I know you've been using it for years, but as you adopt a technology or continue to adopt it, right? There are these sort of phases or levels of growth to accomplish new business goals, new business outcomes. Like, one area that you mentioned to me, I think it was last week, right, was just getting into more predictive analytics. Can you tell us a little bit about your plans there and your ambitions?
Yeah, having Delmia Works as kind of the base layer of data, everything's a single source of truth. That really is the bedrock of a digital transformation that we're going down. We want the data to be streamlined. We want the data to be in the hands of the people that need to make decisions. And we don't want to manipulate that data or touch it before it gets there to those people that need to make decisions. So, it's a long journey, the digital transformation, but Delmia Works has been the foundation of it. We look to utilize it in the future for asking questions that we might think we know the answers to, but the data might suggest differently. So if we have a molding machine sitting idle, but we have labor standing next to it, someone could ask, well, what should we put on that machine? What product should we make right now? And people across the production floor, they might have an idea, but the data could tell us through history and through analytics, that this is what you should run. And that's the type of thing we really want to get to, is predictive analytics around everything we do to make ourselves leaner and smarter.
Yeah, and I can imagine, when when it comes to again the wide kind of scope that you guys have, it matters quite a bit. I'm looking again just at some of your products. Let's see here. So if we share a screen, no, we got too much into one of them that I found really interesting here is Kodiak cotton. Could you tell us a little bit about how this sort of lends itself into the sustainability mix for you guys?
Yeah, we've long been in the manufacturing space of styrofoam coolers. We have a lot of customers that ship cold chain items.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Kodiak cotton was, sorry, go ahead.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah. So Kodiak Cotton is a recent acquisition of ours, and we went after that because of the sustainability of it. Customers are demanding sustainability. Kodiak Cotton has roughly the same performance, if not as good. I'm not a sales guy, so I can't say for sure, but
Disclaimer.
it's just as good as a styrofoam cooler, but it's 100% biodegradable. Everything in it is biodegradable. So keeping with that sustainability and giving our customers options on how they want to ship and what matters to them.
Yeah, and you and I actually shared a bit of an affinity here for building products, right? I shared with you that one of my first jobs at a college was actually with a building products manufacturer. If we switch our attention over to Fox Blocks, so I have that set
Mm-hmm.
up here. How does, in terms of how you build, right? It's you're trying to make these energy efficient buildings. So it's interesting how you're kind of getting into all different layers of sustainability here. Could you speak a little bit on the Fox Blocks end?
Yeah, Fox blocks are insulated concrete forms. They're basically like Legos that you can build a house with, and they have a cavity inside 2 layers of styrofoam that you can pour concrete into. So you can build anything from houses. We've built churches. We've built multi-story hotels. I think up in the 20-story range. Environmentally, it's great. The insulation's great. The sound insulation is great. The cost is not that much more than traditional building. Um, but it's also important down in the coast areas where hurricanes come. Having a concrete wall against hurricanes is really becoming part of the codes down in that area. And the codes up in Canada, where it gets cold, are driving this efficiency mandates that have really helped our growth, and it makes our product really desirable.
Yeah, and we talked, right? We talked last week about how it can be kind of a special feeling, whether it's you're walking into a building, right, where you're like, oh wow, like we're really having an effect because I know that Fox blocks are here. Or in my case, I shared with you, way back when, one of the products that our company was creating it was like a drainable house wrap style. But it wasn't for commercial style buildings. It was for residential, right? So even seeing like buildings going up and seeing like the little divots, right, to make it drainable, to give it a little bit more clearance against the siding, like that stuff is really special. Like what is that feeling like for you when you walk into a building and you're like our stuff helped create this and it's making a difference.
Yeah, there's a hotel in Louisville, Kentucky that is built out of Fox blocks, and we stayed in it one night, and it was almost weird. I mean, it was so quiet. The hotel room was insanely quiet. It was almost uncomfortable at first until you got used to it. But you realize just how great it is when you're insulated from everything in the outside world, when you don't want to hear the outside world or feel it in terms of temperature. But yeah, having the product lineup that we do, where everything's sustainable and the company cares deeply about that, it's gratifying, and it's across the board in our world, where we have lots of products that touch lots of different people.
For sure. Yeah, so right, we're at 3D Experience World 2022. I mentioned before we have about 40 DelmiaWorks sessions on the agenda. I know you're a busy guy, Kellen. Have you called any sessions yet, or you saving them for later? You're going to catch up on the replays?
I've caught the ones that I thought were most important, and the conflicts I had that I couldn't catch the other ones. I'm definitely got in my plans to go back and catch up on them. So having the replay is going to be great.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of attendees here at 3D Experience World 2022, right? A lot of them using Delmia Works, and some of them may be hearing about it for the first time. So, as we close this segment here, just one final word about why a company should consider it for ERP, for predictive analytics, just, anything you would say.
Yeah, Delmia Works has been great, especially as an ERP in the manufacturing space. As we get into new business ventures and new types of manufacturing, Delmia Works has been native to supporting us to do that, just built in. Nothing is really difficult to get into when when Delmia Works has been designed around manufacturing. So it's really powerful in that sense. They're growing their financial footprint to handle worldwide companies that manufacture and purchase and receive and sell in multiple currencies. So the growth of it's been great. We've been along with the ride for it, but it's supported us in our endeavors, and we trust it. And it's one of those things that it's the foundation of what we're doing and trying to transform our company.
Absolutely. Well, Kellen, thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you to you guys at Airlite Plastics for being fantastic customers. Again, congratulations on being the Delmia Works Customer of the Year.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.